Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about the Echo Web Framework.
Ooh, exciting.
And I know that you've been using Echo for like 5+ years.
I have, yeah. It's been a while. I've gotten to know it pretty well.
But I think that there's some things that even you might not know.
I'm sure there are. There's always more to learn. What have you got?
We're going to be diving deep into some Echo secrets. Top 5 secrets
Oh, like secrets.
to make you an Echo master.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unlock the hidden potential.
What's amazing about Echo is
Mhm.
it's deceptively simple.
I think that's a great way to describe it, yeah. Simple on the surface, but deceptively powerful underneath. Like an iceberg.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the things is middleware.
Oh, middleware, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like the unsung hero of web frameworks, right?
It really is.
You use it all the time, but you don't always think about how much it's doing for you
Yeah,
behind the scenes, making your life easier.
exactly.
Yeah.
So have you really explored the full potential of Echo's built-in middleware?
You know, I use it, but I'm always open to learning new tricks.
Right.
What do you got for me?
Let's start with securing your applications.
Okay, yeah, that's a big one. Security is always top of mind.
Instead of manually wrestling with HTTPS certificate,
All right, nobody wants to do that. It's a pain
Echo's secure middleware enforces HTTPS
across the board.
with just a few lines of code.
Yeah, it's so simple to set up. Just a few lines, and you're good to go. It's amazing.
That saves so much time.
It does, especially when you're under a tight deadline.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be messing around with certificates and all that stuff. You just want to get your app up and running.
And then another thing is user authentication.
Oh, yeah, that's another essential one. Every app needs some kind of authentication these days, right?
It can be a headache, though.
It can be, yeah. Especially if you're trying to roll your own solution.
Echo's JWT middleware takes the pain away.
The JWT middleware is a lifesaver.
It just handles everything.
Yeah, token generation, validation, all the heavy lifting. It's all taken care of.
So that you can focus on building the core features.
Exactly. The stuff that actually makes your app unique.
I'm sensing a pattern here,
What's that?
like these elegant pre-built solutions to common problems.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Echo really does a great job of providing those building blocks.
Yeah.
Things that every web app needs.
It's like a Swiss Army knife.
I like that analogy. A Swiss Army knife of middleware, ready for anything.
Exactly. And then another one is performance optimization.
Oh, yeah, performance is key.
Echo's gzip middleware.
Ah, yes, gzip. Compression is your friend.
Mm-hmm.
It can make a huge difference in how fast your app feels.
And again, just a single line of code.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. You don't have to jump through hoops to get these benefits. It's all built in.
You can compress responses, making your application much faster.
And more efficient, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dealing with data can still be a pain sometimes, even with efficient middleware, right?
Yeah, data can be messy. There's no getting around that.
But Echo has this data whisperer, almost
Oh, tell me more about this data whisperer.
data binding.
Ah, data binding. It's like magic, right?
Instead of manually parsing request data,
Mm-hmm.
Echo can automatically map incoming JSON, form data, query parameters.
Straight to your ghost structs, yeah. It's so clean.
No more tedious parsing, no more manual mapping.
Yeah, it's a huge time saver. And it reduces the risk of errors.
I think data binding is a core feature,
It is.
but there's some little nuances to it
Oh, absolutely. There's always more to learn.
that even experienced users might miss.
Like what? Give me an example.
Like defining custom validators.
Oh, yeah, custom validators. That's a good one. You can really fine-tune how your data is validated that way.
To enforce specific data formats or business rules.
Right, and you can even handle those complex nested data structures with ease. I always forget about that.
And it's all in the binding section of the Echo documentation.
Bookmarking that right now.
Okay, so we've covered middleware and data binding.
2 down, 3 to go. What's next?
We're moving into routing now.
Ah, routing. The heart of any web framework.
Mastering Echo's routing system.
Yeah, it's so powerful and flexible, but there's a lot to it.
You can define basic routes,
Right.
but it goes so much deeper than that.
It does. You can do some really cool things with routing and Echo. What kind of secrets do you have up your sleeve?
It's all about precise route matching
Okay, I like precision.
with parameters, query strings, custom handlers.
Yeah, you can really get granular with your routing. It's great for building RESTful APIs.
Imagine you're building an application with subdomains.
Ooh, subdomains. I've done that before. It can get tricky.
Echo has subdomain routing.
Yeah, Echo makes it easy, though. You can really organize your code nicely that way.
It keeps things tidy.
Absolutely. Keeps your code base clean and manageable.
It's all about avoiding spaghetti code, right?
Everybody likes spaghetti code.
And there's also route grouping.
Oh, yeah. Route grouping is great for APIs. Keeps things organized.
Mm-hmm.
You can group your routes under a common prefix. Makes it easier to understand what's going on.
It's all in the Echo documentation.
You keep mentioning the documentation. It must be good.
And you're a visual learner, so.
I am, yeah. Give me pictures and diagrams any day.
Okay.
Much easier to follow.
All right, so we've unlocked the power of middleware.
Check.
We've streamlined data handling.
Check.
And now we've mastered the art of routing.
Check. Check. 3 down, 2 to go. What else is there?
Now it's time for speed.
Speed. Ooh, I like where this is going.
HTTP2.
HTTP2. Yes. The future of the web.
It's like upgrading from dial-up to fiber optic.
That's a perfect analogy.
It's a game changer for performance.
It really is. It makes everything so much faster and more efficient.
It has features like multiplexing
Yeah, multiplexing is amazing. You can send multiple requests over a single connection.
and server push.
Server push, yeah. That's where the server can proactively send resources to the client before they even ask for them.
So much faster load times, snappier responses, smoother user experience.
It's a win-win all around.
But how easy is it to implement HTTP2 with Echo? That's my question.
It's surprisingly easy. Echo has built-in support for HTTP2.
Really?
Yeah, it's just a matter of configuration. You don't have to write a bunch of custom code or anything.
So it just handles all the complexity behind the scenes?
Exactly. You just flip a switch and you're good to go. It's magic.
Okay,
Yeah.
we've explored 4 secrets so far.
Okay, remind me. What were they again?
Middleware mastery,
Check.
data binding elegance, precision routing,
Check.
and the speed boost of HTTP2.
Check. One more to go. What's the grand finale?
Now we're going to go to the front end.
The front end. But we've been talking about back-end stuff this whole time.
Yeah.
This is a twist.
We've been talking about building robust APIs and servers.
Right.
But even the most powerful backend needs a face.
A face. You mean like a user interface?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does Echo handle the front end?
Echo has a built-in template rendering engine.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you can build UIs directly within Echo.
You can generate dynamic HTML content directly within your application.
So I don't need to use a separate front-end framework.
Not necessarily. It depends on how complex your UI is.
Yeah.
But for simpler apps, you can definitely do it all within Echo.
That's pretty cool. Saves you from having to learn a whole new framework.
You can create HTML templates,
Okay.
embed dynamic data,
Mm-hmm.
and serve it seamlessly through Echo.
So I can build, like, a simple web app or even just a prototype entirely within Echo.
Exactly.
That's really powerful.
That's pretty cool, right?
It is, yeah. Especially if you're working on a project where speed and simplicity are key. You don't want to bog yourself down with a lot of extra tooling if you don't have to.
Now, if you want more information on templates, there's the templates section in the Echo documentation.
Adding that to my reading list, you've given me a lot to think about.
This is already reshaping how I think about building with Echo.
Me too. I thought I knew this framework pretty well, but you've opened my eyes to a whole new world of possibilities.
It's not just a back-end framework.
Yeah.
It's like a tool for crafting complete web experiences.
It's like having a Swiss Army knife, but for building web apps.
Okay, so let's recap what we've learned in part 1 of this deep dive.
Sounds good. Hit me with your recap.
We've got middleware mastery, the elegance of data binding, precision routing,
Yeah.
the speed boost of HTTP2,
Check.
and even dabbling in front-end development with Echo's built-in template engine.
Check. 5 secrets down. We've covered a lot of ground. What's next? I'm ready for more.
That's all for part 1.
Oh, already. I'm eager to hear what other secrets you have in store.
We'll be back with more Echo secrets in part 2.
Can't wait. This is getting good. Welcome back to our Echo adventure.
We've covered so much in part 1.
It's been a whirlwind tour of Echo's hidden powers, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It felt like more than just a list of features, though.
Yeah, totally.
We started to see the bigger picture.
It's like we started to see how everything fits together.
Exactly. The real magic of Echo isn't in the individual pieces, but in how they all work together.
I like that.
It's like an orchestra, you know? You need all the different instruments playing in harmony to create something truly beautiful.
Okay, Maestra, give me an example. How do we orchestrate these secrets to create something amazing?
Let's say you're building a secure API for a mobile app.
Okay, I'm listening.
You could start by using the JWT middleware to handle user authentication.
Right, so only authorized users can access the API.
Exactly. Security first.
Okay, what's next?
Now imagine using data binding to seamlessly map the incoming JSON data from your mobile app directly to your Go structs.
Ah, so we're making data processing super smooth.
Exactly. No more manual parsing, no more headaches.
Okay, I'm liking the symphony so far. What other instruments can we add?
Next, you define precise routes using parameters, maybe even subdomains, to organize your API endpoints logically.
Right, so everything has its place, keeps the code base clean and easy to understand.
Exactly. It's all about organization, clarity, and elegance.
Okay, but what about performance? How do we make sure our API is as fast as a speeding bullet?
That's where HTTP2 comes in.
Ah, yes, our secret weapon.
By enabling HTTP2, you can supercharge the communication between your API and the mobile app.
So everything is lightning fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Snappy responses, smooth user experience, happy users.
I love it. But we've been so focused on the back end.
You're right. What about the front end?
How do we give our API some documentation love?
That's a great point. Documentation is essential.
It is.
And here's a cool trick. You can actually use Echo's template engine to generate dynamic API documentation directly within your application.
Wait, really? So the documentation stays up to date automatically?
Exactly. No more outdated documentation, no more confusion for developers.
That's brilliant.
It's all about working smarter, not harder.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. Are we oversimplifying things by just focusing on these secrets? Building real-world apps is messy, right?
You're absolutely right. These secrets are just the starting point.
The foundation.
Exactly. The real challenge, the real art, comes from understanding how to apply these principles in real-world scenarios where things are rarely straightforward.
So it's not just about learning the notes. It's about learning to compose the entire symphony.
That's a beautiful way to put it. You're getting it.
I'm trying.
And don't forget, the Echo ecosystem is vast. There are tons of community-built packages, extensions, and resources out there that can help you along the way.
That's reassuring. It means I'm not alone on this journey.
Exactly. You have a whole community of Echo enthusiasts to support you.
I like that.
But even with all this support, are there any areas where even experienced Echo users might stumble? Any traps we should be aware of?
Oh, that's a good question.
One area that often gets overlooked is error handling.
Oh, error handling. The bane of every developer's existence.
It's not glamorous, but it's so important.
It is.
Echo provides solid error handling mechanisms,
Okay.
but it's up to you to craft error responses that are actually helpful to both developers and end users.
Right, so not just a generic something went wrong message.
Exactly. You want to provide enough information so people can actually understand what happened and how to fix it.
Makes sense.
And while we're on the topic of making things easier, another area worth investing in is testing.
Testing, yes. The safety net of software development.
Exactly. Echo makes it really easy to write unit and integration tests for your handlers and middleware.
So we can catch bugs early and prevent them from becoming major issues.
Precisely. Prevention is always better than cure, especially when it comes to software.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, but there's one big elephant in the room we haven't addressed yet.
Oh, and what's that?
Security.
Ah, yes. Security, the never-ending battle.
We talked about using JWT middleware, but security is such a vast and complex topic.
It is. You can never be too careful when it comes to security.
So how do we make sure our Echo apps are truly secure? What are the key things we need to keep in mind?
First and foremost, never underestimate the importance of keeping your dependencies up to date.
Okay, so responsible dependency management is crucial.
Absolutely. Like any software, Echo can have vulnerabilities.
Right.
And staying on top of updates is essential for patching those security holes.
So update.
Exactly. Make it a habit to regularly check for updates and apply them promptly.
What else should be on our security checklist?
Always validate all user input.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic security rule.
It's a classic for a reason. Never trust data coming from the client side blindly.
So treat all user input as potentially malicious until proven otherwise.
Exactly. Echo provides built-in mechanisms for data validation,
Okay.
but it's important to go beyond the basics and think about potential attack vectors specific to your application.
Right, so tailor your security measures to your specific needs.
Exactly. One size fits all doesn't work when it comes to security.
What other security pitfalls should we be wary of?
Protecting against cross-site scripting or XS attacks is another crucial consideration.
XSS, yeah, that's a nasty one.
It is. And while Echo's template engine automatically escapes HTML characters, which helps prevent XSS, it's still important to be mindful of this when working with user-generated content.
So even with built-in safeguards, we need to be vigilant.
Absolutely. Security is a shared responsibility. You can't just rely on the framework to do all the work for you.
Are there any other tools Echo provides to help us fortify our applications?
Consider implementing rate limiting to prevent denial of service attacks.
Ah, rate limiting. That's a good one.
It can be really effective in preventing malicious actors from overwhelming your server.
So it's like having a bouncer at the door of our application, only letting in the good guys.
Exactly. You control the flow of traffic and keep the bad guys out.
Okay, but with all these layers of security, doesn't it start to feel like we're building a fortress rather than a user-friendly application?
That's a valid concern. You don't want to make your app so secure that it becomes unusable.
Right, it's all about finding the right balance.
Exactly. You need to find the sweet spot between security and usability, and that sweet spot will vary depending on your specific application and its users.
This has been an incredible deep dive so far. We've gone way beyond the basics of Echo.
We have, haven't we? It's amazing how much depth there is to this seemingly simple framework.
It's like we've peeled back the layers of an onion.
And we're not done yet. There's still more to discover. In the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore even more hidden gems within Echo.
Ooh, can't wait.
And we'll discuss how you can truly push the boundaries of this remarkable framework to build truly exceptional web applications.
Welcome back to part 3 of our Echo deep dive.
We've covered so much ground already.
Yeah, it feels like we've journeyed to the heart of Echo.
We have, haven't we? From middleware to routing to security, we've explored so much of what makes this framework so powerful.
But there's one key aspect of Echo that we haven't touched upon yet.
Oh, what's that?
Its remarkable extensibility.
Ah, extensibility, the ability to bend Echo to your will.
I've heard about custom middleware.
Oh, custom middleware is where it's at. It's like having your own personal toolbox of Echo superpowers.
And the ability to swap out core components.
Yeah, you're not stuck with the defaults. If you need to use a different template engine or even a different HTTP server, you can do that. It's all pluggable.
That's incredible. It means I can truly tailor Echo to my exact needs.
Exactly. You're not limited by the framework's default behavior. You can make it your own.
I'm starting to think of Echo less like a framework
Interesting. What do you mean?
and more like a platform.
Ah, I see what you're saying. It's like a foundation upon which you can build anything you can imagine.
That's it. And to fuel our imaginations even further.
Yes. Let's talk about community.
Community is so important for any open source project.
It is. It's where you find support, inspiration, and a whole lot of shared knowledge.
The Echo community seems incredibly active.
It is. There are forums, chat groups, blog posts, tutorials, you name it. There's a wealth of information out there just waiting to be discovered.
So if I hit a roadblock, I can tap into this collective wisdom.
Absolutely. And if you're ever feeling stuck or uninspired, just browse through some of the amazing projects people are building with Echo. It's guaranteed to get your creative juices flowing.
Okay, last piece of advice for seasoned Echo users.
What do you think? Don't be afraid to dive into the source code.
Hold on, exploring source code can be daunting.
I know. But trust me, it's worth the effort. Echo's codebase is well-structured, well-documented, and surprisingly easy to navigate.
Okay.
And by studying the source code, you'll gain a much deeper understanding of how the framework works under the hood. It's like learning the secret language of Echo.
Great analogy.
Yeah, and once you know the language, you can start speaking it fluently. You can start building truly amazing things.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm going to add explore the source code to my to-do list.
Good. It's a challenge, but it's also incredibly rewarding. And who knows, you might even find some new secrets hidden in there.
So to wrap things up, we've gone from middleware to routing to security to extensibility to community and even source code exploration.
Wow, we really have covered a lot, haven't we? It's been quite a journey.
It has. I'm feeling inspired.
Me too. And a little bit exhausted, to be honest.
I get that.
But in a good way, you know? Like we've just climbed a mountain and now we're standing at the summit, taking in the view.
What a beautiful way to put it.
It is, isn't it? And from here, the possibilities are endless. We can see so much more clearly now.
To all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Echo Web framework.
We hope you've learned something new, maybe even discovered a few secrets of your own.
Remember, the only limit is your imagination.